It's your life. And if you let others take advantage of you or let them live your life, it's terrible. It's such a pity, because then you will not get the chance to bring your light into the world and make other people bring their light in too, because this is your purpose. And if you do not live your purpose and let others live it, it's like the darkness will succeed. And we want the light to succeed in this world, right?
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Academy podcast with the #1 international best-selling author and multi-award winning success and life coach, Kamil Shah. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking this opportunity to grow together with me, Kamil Shah, and my guests on this program. Each episode of the Academy podcast is filled with insights and wisdom from my guests, which I believe can have a profound impact on the way we live our lives. Without further ado, let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Academy podcast with me, Kamil Shah. Whatever you're doing and wherever you are as you're tuning in to today's episode, I hope that you are staying safe and healthy, and above all, in a state of peace. Now, the universe works in mysterious ways. Today, I have the honor of introducing another good friend of mine whom I had the opportunity to connect with back in 2020. Yes, that year that shook us all up. Okay, my guests and I found ourselves joining a community of like-minded people who had the burning desire to help others. We had taken it upon ourselves to learn the right tools and methods to create meaningful change in people's lives. We took the oath to make wisdom go viral. Joining me today is Frida Bruhn. Frida, one of the founding members of the Jay Shetty Certification School, which opened its doors in March 2020, has been into acting and editing for more than 30 years. She pretended to be confident from the outside, but had lived many years of her life on autopilot in constant fight and flight mode. Yet, by failing, doubting, trying, and getting up repeatedly, Frida could break vicious cycles and leave emotionally abusive relationships behind, the ones with herself and the ones with work and her partner. As a mom of 6, Frida had to learn to become powerful. Kickboxing helped her build new mental and physical muscles, so she is passionate about this. Okay, therapy, mindfulness, positive intelligence, working with character strengths, and a large, encouraging community guided her way to reinvent herself. Frida recently wrote a chapter as a co-author alongside her mentor Jim Britt and Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank about perfectionism. The book launch was a success and became a #1 international bestseller on Amazon. Primarily, Frida is working with visionaries taking the next leap to level up in life and business, helping them to live into or more of their purpose. One thing many of them need to learn is letting go of perfectionism, as it can have a massive negative impact on your life. One of her favorite quotes is by Thomas Edison that goes, "If we all did the things we are capable of, we would literally astound ourselves." Welcome, Frida.
Hey, so good to see you.
Yes, absolutely. As you know, as we mentioned before we started this recording, we connected way back and through the school, and I think that's a great starting point for all of us in the journey that we're on right now.
Yeah, definitely. It's so beautiful when you share memories together, and you know where you came from. So.
Absolutely. You're doing many great things, and we'll come to that. But there was one thing that in the introduction that we mentioned about, you wrote about perfectionism, and I think that's a useful starting point for our conversation today. You're a life coach. How did you get into coaching? If you can just rewind back a few years, your journey, how has that led you to where you are now?
I had coaching myself since 30 years, on and off, so to speak, because I was an actress, have been acting for 30 years and editing. So I was familiar with it. But I have never thought about coaching myself. It just did not occur to me that it could be something for me, because I never saw myself as a teacher. I always saw myself only as an artist. Would it be writing or acting or whatsoever way of expressing myself? But I had no clue in that I would be so happy with helping others, except for my children. So more like this, if it's mine, it's okay, but not so much about, I was not thinking so much about others. But I found Jay Shetty, was following him a while through his videos he did in the beginning, and then his films on Facebook. And at a certain point of my life, I was hitting rock bottom. I was so desperate. I recently came out of a women's shelter with 5 kids. They were at that age. The twins were 8 months old, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So don't ask me how I managed it, but somehow I found a shabby apartment sharing with mice, and I had my laptop there. So when the kids were going to bed, I was following Jay. He had his genius community, so I became an early genius member, only for a short while, because I was not ready to invest in myself at that point. But I felt release by having the meditation with him. And much later, then in March, I already had found a house and was a bit more settled. I realized that he would make this school happen. It was a topic before in the community, but it was about to get a go. And I thought, oh, it would be healing for me to learn all of this. And still I didn't think about becoming a coach myself. I thought I would just like to know what he is doing a bit more in depth, so that I can help myself, and maybe I can use it connected to my acting. So because some people asked me if I would teach them acting, and I thought this could be a good combination, maybe. And it totally changed my life, because after that acting, I mean, maybe if there's something interested, I would go back to that, but it's not in my forehead anymore, that this is my most passionate thing to talk about, or what I would like to do with my life. I really fell in love with coaching so much. I was obsessed. So I found I always loved to learn, but I did not see myself that much as a learner as I experienced myself then. So many things I discovered. I would say I finally met myself through this journey. What made me able to use all of my life experience, all of what I went through, all of what I achieved, to set it in relation to others and help them, because I failed so often that probably the issue you're dealing with, I have been there too. So this was really such an amazing feeling, that I saw that I would help people. The feedback was gorgeous every time. So it's just beautiful when you see that you can have the impact in other people's lives, so that they really become enabled as well to turn their lives to the better. And as I am so committed to Jay's mission, as you had in the intro, I realized again that it's just such a beautiful space to be, and such a beautiful thing to be part of it.
Wow, there's so much in there, Frida. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story with all of us. Again, this is the first time for me to learn about this as well, in terms of your journey, where you were before. what you had to go through and where you are now. And I just want to say it's just an amazing journey, and I'm ever so grateful that I've come across you as others in the school as well. And I think that's one of the blessings of 2020 is that we've managed to come together as a community through the school.
Yeah, magic, because I remember when we had the onboarding call, I said to King, who had the call with me, like, there is this pandemic coming up. Do you think it will affect the United States and Germany? Well, because I was applying for the live. I wanted to come to New York and do the lives, but maybe we'll do it online. Maybe we see if they would close everything down, but they can't do so. And I was feeling like, but even if they do, so for some reason I go for it. And we all have been like the people who said like, maybe it's not the right time, but who cares? I just do it. And this also made it so special to come together with all of these people, because I have never met so many great people at the same place. Because usually if you go to school, if you go to university, you have these are not my people and these are my people. I don't want to hang around with those people so much, but here is my peer group and so on. And there were some people you were closer with technically, but when you spoke to others, you felt the same. So it was just you could only do it right. There was no you could not land in the wrong group or something, because wherever you showed up, in every webinar, people sitting together, you found out that there are even more amazing people, right?
We're operating at the same level of vibration, I think, which is fantastic. I think that's where the collective vibration of all of us were on the same frequency. I think that's an amazing thing. And I think I want to come back to something that you mentioned at the beginning. You talked about release for yourself. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of people tuning in might be able to connect with this. Am I right in saying that the intention was to help others through the coaching, but you're helping yourself first by learning these tools?
I wanted to help myself. So I was more coming from this egoistic place, and then found out how much joy it is to help others. And amazing. So what you said about the relief and release, it's I think sometimes we think, oh, which goals do we need to achieve? We're so on, we need to go, that we forget that letting go of many things will enable you to move further. So this is something you need to learn first, what you need to let go before you are able to build other things, or maybe simultaneously, partly. But we always think to do what we should do and need to do, but not what we might want to drop.
In a way, self-care, were you subconsciously, taking the effort to join the school as a method of self-care, self-love, that you want to heal yourself. And as like you're saying, you did it, you found that I can actually help others. I can actually have an impact on other people the way that I'm having an impact on myself. I had a discussion about this with other coaches as well, and I think that's one of the joys of coaching, is that it's a win-win situation. Each time I have a conversation with a client, each time I have a conversation with people like yourself, fellow coaches, something happens in me, something magical, and I dare I say, I get a bit addicted to it in a nice way, right?
Yeah. I mean, if your day does not start that well, but you have a coaching conversation, you prepare for it, you just open your heart before you go into the situation, because there's somebody will share his or her precious time with you, and you give your best, and then there will happen something would make you feel more energized afterwards. So both people go after the communication and feel better than they did before. So this is it's so beautiful, because I also underestimated the power of a really good communication, because you do not have it in normal life if you are not learning this. Because I never understood, to be honest, when people were meeting for coffee or so on, I said, I can't, about what are we talking, So I
Mm.
did this, I did that, and the neighbors always, so I'm the total wrong person for that. So I did not see the point so much to hang around with other people. I prefer to read or something. But it's what you said, the frequency of people. It's just, if you have people who have the frequency, it's great, because then you finally find that your awareness level is met, and that you even get better and better and better, and realize that you're only at the beginning. And yeah, you will not feel bored.
Absolutely. And I just remember a quote by, as you were saying, you were speaking there, I remember a quote by Jim Rohn, who's Tony Robbins' mentor. And he used to say, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend your time with. And that's something really, that when I read that the first time, I was like, okay, let me do an audit. Who do I spend most time with? Right. And, if you're tuning in right now, that's a quick exercise for you to just establish where you are, and where, if you have a goal, if you have a vision, that's where, you need to assess who should you be hanging around with and spending your time with, if you have a vision to get to XYZ, be it financially, be it career, be it relationship. A quick audit is to see, who are you spending most of your time with at the moment, and are they the right people? Do you need to get new people into your group? Do you need to let some people go? So that's a quick audit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm enjoying this conversation so far, Frida, because we're just catching up, and I love this. I want to come to your book, right? You've got this #1 international best-selling book on Amazon. Congratulations again. In the bio, we introduced the book, and we mentioned about perfectionism as a topic. Now, I think we all have a degree of perfectionism, or trying to be a perfectionist in our lives at one stage or another, because we want things to be perfect. Now, from the people that you've met and you've had conversations with, people that you've coached, why do people want to become perfectionists? How do people get, dare I say, trapped in being a perfectionist?
Yeah, I mean the root cause is you think you're not good enough as you are. And one of the most terrible things for you is maybe to accept that you might be mediocre in one way or the other, that you do mistakes, that there could be failures. So it's not a single failure, but you think about yourself as maybe not worthy when doing mistakes. So you try to avoid them instead of learning by them, instead of welcoming them as just another step of the journey. So when you compare a perfectionist to a high achiever, I mean, in the end, they both can end up or will end up often exhausted, or maybe even in burnout. But if they push themselves too far. But the difference is, as a perfectionist, you deal more with the negative emotions of anger, sadness, guilt, shame, so anxiety, of course, and you subconsciously build, or you subconsciously attract situations where you would fail by procrastinating until the end because of anxiety, and then not being able to fulfill the task as if you could have done. Or, for example, in my case, it's I also have ADHD, and when I was working at a radio station in my early 20s, those days we had CDs when we were playing music. So let's say I had a list with the songs I needed to play in an hour, and let's say it was CD 333, song 6, and I would have 15 CDs, and you can be sure that at least 2 or 3 songs would be the wrong song for whatsoever reason, because then instead of song 6, I played song 3, but not that I didn't look them up. No, the opposite. I looked so often not to do a mistake, so that then it happened, like somehow in my head, it twisted. I got the numbers confused, and then you attract the failure you probably would not do if you would not overthink and overthink and overthink, because you would be so afraid. So the only thing what is really effective to work more effectively and to withdraw from your perfectionism is finding relief, finding release, letting go of the tension, letting go of the unrealistic expectations on yourself, accepting your value, not trying to prove everything every time that you are extra valuable by achieving extra more, and then standing in your way and proving that you even need to try harder and harder. And the opposite is true, not trying harder.
That's really interesting that you've mentioned that the avoidance of failure keeps someone in that state of trying to be perfectionist, because failure, again, is the interpretation of failure. Because if someone sees failure as a negative thing, then you're trying to avoid it and you become strong, highly strong in trying to kind of become the perfectionist. But if your interpretation of failure is something different, where it's an opportunity for growth, then you're a bit more relaxed and say, okay, that happened, that didn't work well. What can I learn from it? And I think, as you described there, I was reflecting on my previous life as well, my previous career as an architect. And, I think we share similar, background, you being in the arts, architecture. I remember at one point when I was in architecture school, it was, we were all tired. We were all mentally exhausted. It was nearly the end of the year. We had to present our drawings, our schemes. I remember there's one particular point where I literally just snapped. I just snapped because I was trying to make everything perfect. And it was one particular thing where I had sent my final thesis to the printers to get printed. And when I got there, it wasn't printed the way that I wanted it printed. And I just snapped. And now I reflect on it and I'm smiling now. But at that particular moment of time, it wasn't an option. But now I'm looking back, I'm thinking, well, that was perfection for me, but nobody else cared. Right? I don't even think the tutors cared that it wasn't printed, but I was so looking at it in a minute way that it affected my mental and physical health. But again, I go back to the interpretation of failure.
Absolutely. You could have accepted what happened, trying your best, and then living with it, right? So knowing you gave your best. So this does not mean that if you let go of that, I got it wrong before. I thought, I need to be this way, otherwise you would be mediocre again. Like this worst thing what could happen, and you would not try hard enough. Everybody thinks that trying hard is such a good thing and giving your best, but you can do it anyway, but not by beating yourself up so much. You can give your best without beat yourself up. So, but for me, it somehow was connected. And especially as you say, if something went wrong. So, oh my gosh.
It's the perception that we have of in front of others. I think that amplifies the perfectionism, that we don't want to be seen to have failed. So not only we, giving ourselves a hard time, doubling the effect. So we have to keep up this appearance in front of others that, failure is not an option. I think, people tuning in, you might be able to relate to this. Now, the question is, if you're in that state and some people aren't aware, right? Assume that you're in a stage where you're listening to this conversation between Frida and myself, and you're stepping back and saying, wow, I'm here. I'm in this bubble right now. Once you become aware, how do people start to take the steps, to address the issues that they may have in dealing with perfectionism?
I think it's really through relaxation. So when you realize that your health gets affected, that your outcome is not the way you want it to be, that your health gets affected, and that you realize that you might have a negative impact on the people around you, and you just realize that your energy is tense and toxic and really not in a loving way. So ask yourself, is your energy loving? If it's not loving, it's something to work on, because if it's not loving for you, it will not perceived loving for others. And what's the point in living this life if it's not coming from a loving space? So it cannot lead to happiness if it does not come from a loving place, in my opinion. So then you might want to start with some breathing exercise to get connected to your body again, and then realizing that you are not your thoughts. This is always, I think, the most important thing and the most important training, to detach yourself from every thought, every random thought coming into your head, every random voice would tells you since ages what you need to do, or who you are, and what you dare or what you not dare. And if these voices are not kind, do not believe them. So if it's not encouraging you to do better, and if it's not welcoming you as a human being, and being supported, being like a coach on your side, but somebody who is coming there with a stick to beat you up or something, then it's not the voice you want to listen to. I think these are good things to become more and more aware, so that you would be faster able to spot the energy you land in, because it won't change from one day to another. It's a training. So it took years for you to become this way. So it will be a process to learn new pathways inside of your brain, to think new thoughts, and to become what you said in the beginning, the frequency, to raise your frequency, to settle into a higher form of energy, so to speak.
I like that you touch on the higher form of energy and frequency as well, because now the idea of perfectionism and also the goal of having or keeping up high standards. Now, people tuning in might be able to say, well, what's wrong with trying to, become a perfectionist, because I want to keep high standards up. But are they the same thing, or can you still have a different perspective of interpretation of being a perfectionist, but still maintaining a high standard by not being a perfectionist?
Yeah. So this is what why I made the distinction between high achiever and perfectionist. So you can aim to whatever goal you would like to, and of course you give your best, but it's more about letting go of the beating up part of it. So about you just need to leave out the negative parts of it. You can try better, but if you realize you get too tense, you need more meditation in between the tasks. So it's as simple as that. When you are a perfectionist, you would push and push and push up to the point where you would not make it better anymore. So maybe you will manage it to finish the task and have a certain result, but it would not mean that if you leave the negative out, that you would not have achieved it in a much more relaxed state. And this does not mean that it always needs to be hours and hours of pauses, but just a bit of breathing in between the tasks could help, and just feeling in your feet again, and raising your arms, or looking into like nature, a wider space, so that you are able to get not that narrow. So you always need to settle down in a wider space, because when it's not freedom, then it's kind of imprisoning yourself, and it's not healthy, and it's not I think bringing the outcome what you finally would like to leave as your legacy. When you look back, you would probably ask yourself, why did I stress out so much? Why did I have to deal with these health issues? I could have come from a better place, and maybe would have had more fun in my life, and had still a great outcome.
Great advice there to kind of reflect on where you are. But again, it's also saying that once you become aware, it's not wasted time. You still have time to look into ways to address the issue, because sometimes people might feel that, oh, it's too late, I'm too far down this path, there's no turning back. But I always say that if you're aware, you're right now saying this, that means you've taken that first step of becoming aware. You just
Yeah.
need to, like you're saying, widen that vision and to tap into it and step by step to address the issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in the end, it's not how far we go with it. It's staying committed to growing will always be better than not staying committed to growing, because if you fall back and forget about all of what you have learned, it's, I think, so sad, because you would settle for less. And I think settling this way, it's not a good idea. We all know people who do not use their brain anymore. So who are not committed to learning and lifelong growing, they just die inside. I mean, they die during they are alive. So we can have such a vivid spirit until we need to go, if we just stay connected to ourselves, and if we like to go into depth with our existence and help others, because we all go through so many challenges as human beings, that it's being there for others, listening actively, and just sharing life together is such a valuable thing. Because I mean, how many old people end up being very lonely? I think it's not a good place to be if you are lonely. And I think coaching offers such a great way to stay connected with others and yourself and the existence. So you become connected to wisdom. And I find it very hard to imagine other things which would feel so precious in life.
I think you mentioned a really important point there about finding communities. And again, we're going full circle. You know, we started off this conversation talking about how we became connected in a community, like-minded community. So now more than ever, it's so easy to get into, you know, communities online, free, for free. And talking about communities and being connected, I want to come to you, Frida. You're being generous today. You are right in saying that you're offering to give your chapter from the book for free to people out there.
Yeah, I mean, whoever wants to read the chapter about perfectionism, because maybe you want to know a bit more about this, maybe you find it interesting, or you just need to write an email to me. So it's Frida Bruhn at fridabruhn.com, FRIDABRUHN at fridabruhn.com. And then you just write about perfectionism, and I will mail you the chapter. And if you like to, let me know what perfectionism means for you. So also like to get to know a bit about you, but it's not necessary. So if you don't want to tell me something, it's totally fine, and I'll send you the chapter. So
awesome. And I highly encourage people to do just that, because like we said, it's so easy to get connected now more than ever. And it's part of the healing process. Something that I hold true is, like, I think one of the ways to happiness is through learning. As you learn, you grow. And if you're growing, for me, that's, I keep myself happy, because I know I'm learning, I'm growing. And we come to what you mentioned there about old age. The way to keep your frequency and your mental agility up is to continually learn. We don't ever stop learning. So as soon as we stop learning, that's where we start to decline.
I read a study that especially this lifelong learning, it was said that the brain, like before many years, I know it was said that you would not be able to learn that much anymore the older you get. And it's not true. You can learn your whole life, and no matter if you're studying with 60 or 70, because however your life has been before, you might wake up at a certain point in your life, and it doesn't need to be in your 20s. It can be much later, and it's still valuable to go this way. So it's really never too late. So therefore, I highly appreciate, I love these stories so much from people in their 90s finally finishing their studies or doing a doctor's. I always like to to read stories like these because I find it so cute and valuable.
Amazing. And I also see, if you're listening to this podcast, you won't see this, but if you're tuning in later on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. I'm just looking at Frida's background there. She's got Jay's book up there, Think Like a Monk, right? And on her bookshelf, which is fantastic. And I love that painting. I've seen that painting before when the last time we did the, I think, IG Live. I love that. I mean, can you share with us a little bit about that painting? Because I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it's by Edward B. Gordon, who is one of my favorite painters. So he is from Berlin. And I was following him since quite a while, I think since 2008. And this painting, it's called Contemplation. And I bought it, I guess it was 2017. And since up to this point, I was waiting for the right picture for me to come. And then finally he posted it and I knew it needs to be mine. So yeah. Edward B. Gordon is also on Instagram, so really check out his site.
I love it. And I love these stories because, like you say, you're waiting for the right painting to appear. And at that time, this connected with you. I also like the fact that the painting doesn't seem to have been finished. There's a gap at the bottom left corner, which I think is very poignant because it's talking about contemplation. And I don't know, I'm just interpreting this, contemplation, it never ends, it's never a finished article. And I love that, he's just left that kind of bit unfinished.
Yeah.
I'm loving this conversation, Frida. Usually we would end the conversation with the quick 5 question round. But before we do that, Frida, how can people connect with you and, get in touch with you in case they want to know more about you, your work, the book, and also just connect with you?
Yeah, you find me on social media. I'm on Instagram and on Facebook. So Frida Carolina Bruhn, Frida Bruhn. And you might want to check out my website. It's www.fridabruhn.com. So it's just my name, and you will find me. And I'm happy if you reach out.
Excellent. Well, if you didn't catch that, no worries. We'll put all the social media handles, Frida's website, and also her email again in the description of this episode. So go ahead and connect with Frida. So Frida, we're coming to the tail end of this conversation. We normally end with a quick 5 question round. Are you okay to do this?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm curious.
Looking forward to this. Awesome. Okay. So question number 1, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word, it's still from Mary Poppins. It's supercalifragilisticexpialigetisch. It's in German. And in English, it's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Docious, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so similar. But that's the first
it's
time
when you don't have anything else to say.
I love that. But that's the first time I've heard it in German. So that's a first for me. So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Love that. Okay, so question number 2, what are you currently reading or listening to?
Oh, currently I am reading a German book from my mindfulness teacher, Georg Lorlos. It's a pity, it's a second book and not translated in English yet. It's Halt finden in sich selbst. It means like finding hold in yourself. Beautifully written as always. So hopefully his work will translate it in English sooner than later. So highly recommend this one. And I'm also reading Unbound by Kasia Urbaniak. Yeah, and I just finished the audiobook of Mae Musk, A Woman Makes a Plan. And I binge listened to it whole Sunday and found it very, very valuable because I could relate to so much what she was telling about. She is now, I guess, in the end of her 70s, And I forgot when exactly, but it was in her late 60s that she finally became a cover girl. She finally became the face of this makeup brand. And so she now is living her career, and her life is really, really lots of ups and downs. And she now is having the best time ever. So I love this.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's something on my list as well. Put that on my list. Amazing. So question number 3, what is the worst advice you've ever received?
Yeah, this might sound a bit strange for some. It's listen to your heart. So listen to your heart is not always true, because as I experienced it in this toxic relationship, I was very highly trauma bonded. And this is harder than any addiction, any drug addiction, what you can ever imagine. So it's, if you then listen to your heart, you will be disconnected from your heart, which is the truth. You shouldn't listen to your heart. You should see what the other person does, and don't go for thinking about excuses for them, thinking about that they will also feel the way you feel, that they will finally get what they did wrong, that you finally feel remorse, that they finally have, well, they haven't. So speaking about the frequency, what I learned is not everybody has the frequency. Not everybody is ready to learn. Not everybody has like a good heart, so to speak. We as coaches say like everybody is whole and complete. We think that every intention is good. Seeing it spiritually, it might be, but in fact, there are people out there, no, just not. You only can run as fast as you can. So sometimes, so listen to your heart is not always the best advice.
Wow, that's really powerful. And again, it's just shifted my perspective as well, because usually when you listen to that advice, you just take it as it is, but it's not always right. You have to do some checks, whether it's relatable, whether it's applicable. Like you're saying, if you don't, then you might get burnt, you might get hurt, because taking it blindly might affect you in a different way.
Absolutely. And there might be childhood trauma when you were not able to leave. And the person could, it just feels familiar. But because it feels familiar, it can be in a terrible way. And you do not even realize where the connections are. With a lot of time and space afterwards, you will be shocked where your heart led you, because you have not healed childhood trauma. It's a good chance to do then. So in the end, it's hard to say even bad advice, because of course you would have liked to skip, but otherwise you would not have grown through it. So every bad advice also is a great learning opportunity, so to speak.
So on the flip side, what is the best advice you've ever received?
I would say heal first. Before you do anything else, heal your heart, heal your soul, and then go for anything what you would like to do. So build a strong connection to your heart, build a strong connection to who you are, take care of yourself, love yourself. And when you are able to take good care of yourself and say to yourself that you love and cherish your being and want to share this love with other beings, then you're in a good place to start for everything you want to do.
Wow, that's really strong there. So to look inwards, people usually say it's I don't think it's being selfish. It's actually, taking care of yourself first. You can't possibly help others if you haven't been taken care of by yourself.
And we sometimes forget this. So, and there are, as I said before, there are people out there, they don't forget it, but they are selfish. And if you are not taking care of yourself, they will take advantage of you. And this is, I mean, it's your life. And if you let others take advantage of you or let them live your life, it's terrible. It's such a pity, because then not only you will not get the chance to bring your light into the world and make other people bring their light in too, because this is your purpose. And if you do not live your purpose and let others live it, it's like in a woo-woo way, it's like the darkness will succeed. And we want the light to succeed in this world, right?
Wow, I love that. I love that, Frida. Wow, that's oh my God. I'm just surprised that that's just happened just there, just at the tail end of this conversation. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I have to go back and listen to this again and write it down. Thank you, Frida. Thank you for that great advice. Thank you. Okay, last question. Question number 5. What can we expect from Frida in the next 5 years?
Oh, you can expect for sure that I stay committed to the mission. So I will stay committed to making wisdom go viral. I will stay committed to do whatever I can to spread the benefits of coaching. I will definitely commit to further writing and to give my best to be the best mom I can be.
Yes. And I love that commitment. Strong place, a foundation to start off with, commitment. And I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Frida, any last words to people tuning in before we end the show?
Wherever you might be in your life, wherever you are, and feel some kind of connection to anything I said, you can reach out to me also, not only on perfectionism for sure. So if you might feel in a dark place, if you feel like you're being stuck and just need a bit more of awareness to move on and maybe have a goal in mind where you are not sure about which direction to go, you can reach out to me anytime. So I'm happy to jump with you on a 20 minutes chat or something, and then we can figure out if a discovery call might help, and if coaching is the right investment for you at that point in your life to move further. So up to that point, you have the academy, you have the podcast you can listen to, you have all the books, but I highly recommend coaching as well with whomsoever. And if it's not me, you find another coach. Maybe you feel connected to Kamil, to whomever in our community. I mean, as we said before, you can, our colleagues are great as well. So you just need to find out to whom you feel connected the most. And then it's such a beneficial way to fasten up your path in a way, and to strengthen your being, to strengthen your skills. So if you want to have a change in your life, I think coaching is, in my opinion, it's necessary. This is why all we coaches have coaches.
If you're tuning in and if you're thinking about improving any aspect of your life, and this is why we do it, we're all here for each other. Frida, myself, other coaches, we all understand the value of coaching because we've been through it. And we know how it has impacted our lives in a positive and meaningful way. And we're sharing that with everyone. For me, I would not share something to others if I don't see the value of, I haven't done it myself. So having gone through it and knowing the value of it, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're reaching out and saying, look, it's just a conversation. And Frida, like you said, you took that step way back in 2020, even before in Genius, to just reach out and just join the community. And that's it. And that was the beginning of, the upgrading to a higher frequency.
Yeah.
And similarly for me, just taking that first step. Obviously, you will have doubts. You might be thinking, if I do this, that means something's wrong with me. It's not about having something wrong or right with you. It's just, I want to learn, I want to grow. And if you approach it from that point of view, then a whole new world opens up for you and for Frida and myself. So thank you for reaching out, Frida.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to talk to you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you again, Frida. I think we have to do this. We have to connect again at some point in
Yeah.
time. But for now, unfortunately, everyone, this is all the time that we have today on the podcast. This has been the Academy podcast with Frida Bruhn. I hope you guys connect and resonate with our conversation today. Let us know, connect with us. Let us know which parts you found useful. That will be very useful for us to understand and also be able to kind of reach out to you guys as well. Until the next episode, stay safe, stay healthy, and peace and love from me and from Frida.
Yeah, light and love.
Bye-bye for now. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in from wherever you are. My sincere hope is that this episode has not only resonated with you, but also given you some invaluable tips and strategies to improve your life. Don't forget to share your comments with me. As you know, I love to hear your views. Also, remember to follow the Academy, follow me, my guests, and tag us on our social media handles, which will be provided in the description. Most importantly, please leave a review and let me know that you've heard this podcast and how it has impacted you. Until the next episode, stay safe, stay healthy, and peace and love from me always.